In this latest Spielberg film, All Things Nostalgic Rule, Cyclops tells a virtual version of the dying girl that he loves her, and Spielberg gives us his first return to form adventure film in years. Hey everybody, welcome to Cinema Gulp. I'm Ben.
This is Mark.
And I'm John.
And we just saw Ready Player One. Guys, what do we think of this latest Spielberg movie? Pretty good?
Yes.
Yeah, I really enjoyed it. Thought it was, like you said, a return to form for Spielberg. It was nice to see him get back into the adventure game and make a really exciting film.
And since it felt like an 80s movie, and that's when he was really crafting his skills as an adventurous storyteller type of filmmaker, it was only fitting that the movie was chocked full of 80s nostalgic references. Mark, what'd you think?
Oh, I had a great time. Just like it was one of those rare times where, as John was saying earlier, the theater was all in tune. Everyone was it was just a blast. It was just a great, entertaining popcorn film, and it didn't even feel like, the runtime to me at all.
I had a blast with this. There's a book by Ernest Cline, which I did not read, which I hear is a lot darker, a little bit more serious. I love that Spielberg took he took that novel and put a spin on it, made it fun, made it popcorn ready to go. I must have ate a large movie theater popcorn watching it because Spielberg helped create popcorn film, and I think this was one of the better ones I've seen in a while. So
yeah, I can see how the novel is probably a darker story. This dystopian world that it takes place seems like there would be a lot of darkness going on in this world, and obviously in the film everyone is escaping their real lives by going to the Oasis, this virtual reality world of video games. And yeah, you brought up that it had the Spielberg stamp, and a lot of times he can bring kind of lighthearted entertainment to these films. Even though they're very exciting, there's a lot of entertainment, a lot of fun, a lot of joy in his films. And I think that's kind of what you get out of this film is, even though the world that it's set in probably should feel a bit darker, him being the director brought it into kind of a lighter, more entertaining popcorn realm.
Well, I think it's probably just going through and trying to make like a proper adaptation of the book, right? Because the premise shows that it's rooted in a very dark concept, right? This could be our future in a lot of different ways. Because what the movie doesn't say originally causes a lot of what we see is, I read up that it mentioned like overpopulation, we depleted all our fossil fuels, like all this stuff, right? That led to people.
All things a direction we're all headed.
Yeah, and so people wanted to escape their reality by going into a virtual reality. So then, he makes it more fun and entertaining, which I think makes it more digestible for audiences. Yeah. And then he did it. You never really felt depressed. Yeah. And then at the end too, I think what I read too, and what I saw in the movie by the very end scene, I won't spoil it, but he actually did add like a little bit of a positive message to it.
In my opinion, one of my takeaways, I can't say the main theme because it could be different for a lot of people. I think that what it's saying is that our imaginations, our creativity is just as important to every individual and to society and to the world as anything else that there is. And it's
I've always felt that way.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that's great because it's Spielberg making this, and he's one of the guys that have helped build your imagination.
Exactly. A little bit too many references. Everybody knows this film is filled with nostalgia from the 80s and even other
and modern
eras.
Pop culture too.
Modern pop culture, video games galore. This is definitely a love letter to video games to some degree. But there's a lot of references you will get if you are a film fan. If you just enjoy 80s movies or really any era of movies.
And one sequence in particular.
Yeah, I don't know how we want to handle that, but Spielberg definitely paid homage to one of the greatest directors of all time.
We're going to call it the sequence, for sure.
And the sequence was really the standout of the film, in my opinion. Just loved what they did with that sequence. I think, once anyone's seen the film, they'll probably get what we're talking about when we say the sequence, but it is amazing.
The gaming standpoint, I saw so many things ranging from actually seeing systems to seeing characters, the actual games. So anybody who's a fan of gaming, I've been playing for over 30 years. I mean, there's so much stuff that you will see, like either front and center or hidden away in every like background scene that will tickle your fancy.
That's great.
Even right here, there's a Commander Shepard in the nightclub scene.
So it did its job in that sense because, John and I are more film enthusiasts than game, but I love the little mini Easter eggs that they throw inside this movie that it's a blink and a miss. And I'm sure there's a lot of them that I didn't understand.
I think we all missed a few.
Yeah, there's so many. Yeah,
but you need to see it again to really
get
them all.
But for someone who has a big love of games, like you saw things in there that I didn't know what they were, and,
Yeah.
and you were stoked by them, right? It was
No,
cool
yeah,
to
no,
see
it was
that.
exciting, and it was
Yeah.
funny too, because like one particular scene I remember, I was like, "Oh, Ben, look at this!" You know, it's like
Characters galore from all your favorite comic books and movies, but almost too much. I felt like there were times where I groaned a little bit at the references of just like, that was an easy low hanging fruit or whatever, or that, you know, it's just too much at times.
Well, I think that might be due to the source material, because I think a lot of criticisms was that it was basically like, how can I get to the next reference? Like reference after reference after reference. So they probably had to like massage, like, okay, how can we keep the essence of the source material with, you know, with hopefully not overloading it. And so that was probably a fine
Yeah, I hear
line.
the book
fine
has
line to walk.
has Nicolas Cage in every single Nicolas Cage movie pop up somewhere. And
Gotta get back.
Yeah, I agree with that.
I think that there's very few scenes to give you any sort of indication of what they do with their time outside of the Oasis, which is fine because that's not what the movie's about. But I think I love Ty Sheridan. I think he's really good as an actor, and I love what's happening with Olivia Cook, that she's popping up in so many things, because I think she's.
It took her a while from Earl and the Dying Girl to
It
get
did.
these parts, but now
did.
she's in 2 really good movies this year. So.
Yeah,
She
and,
was in Bates Motel too.
Yeah, she
Oh,
was
you
good
just
in Bates
mentioned that,
Motel.
yeah.
Yeah. So it's good to see her kind of popping up in things. I think she's got charisma. I thought her chemistry with Ty Sheridan was okay. But to believe it or not, I would never thought I'd say this. I like Mark Rylance probably the best, because he's like if Garth from Wayne's World went nuts and like created his own universe or something.
I didn't really like the way the characters were presented in the film much at all. I didn't think there was very much character development. I think that the movie moves at a really good pace. As you said, there's not a lot of downtime to really spend time learning about these characters in the real world. We spend so much time with them in the Oasis, the virtual reality world. But yeah, I thought the characters, I think Olivia Cook's character and Ben Mendelsohn would probably be my favorites.
Yeah,
of the
Ben
film.
Mendelsohn is great. I forgot to mention him.
Some of his crew, his like step parents, and other characters in the film came across as really hammy to me.
Well, they were kind of stereotypical, right? Because I agree with you guys that performances overall were serviceable, with Cook and Mendelsohn being the standouts. You know, them doing what they can with the material that they're given, right? And then I think within the context of the movie, we don't get a lot of backstory because so much takes place in the Oasis, because everyone's wanting to escape
They
that
don't
anyway.
care about their real lives
Yeah.
to some degree. They care about what's going on in the Oasis.
Yeah.
And so are we.
So it would have been cool to explore that too, especially since it brings up the funny thing of, I thought it was funny that everyone happens to be in Columbus, Ohio. Being like, you know, 3 decades of gaming, it's very rare that you just happen to meet someone who then happens to be in your neighborhood.
Yeah.
Where I know people all over the world from my time spent online.
You spend half your time cussing at 9-year-olds
Yeah,
on Call of
probably,
Duty,
right,
don't you?
right.
I'm on a winning streak, and it's 0-2. Can you hear me? You guys suck eggs.
Okay, so within the world of the Oasis, it's all done with kind of fun CGI. I wouldn't call it spectacular, because I think it's made to look the way these sort of Warcraft games and things look. Like, there's parts where like avatars are kind of just moving around when they shouldn't, and there's a clever little joke about that. But I liked the mixture of what we saw in reality and what we saw on CG. I knew I was getting into that. What were your guys' thoughts on the use of CG, and was there too much, or did you feel like you just weren't enveloped when it was going? John?
Well, I did feel like for the most part I was watching an animated movie at times.
Right.
Because you spend so much time in that world.
Right.
You're paying more attention to the characters as their avatars than you do in the real world.
Mark?
For me, the use of CG was pretty appropriate considering where this is taking place, and I think it also lent itself naturally, because when we're seeing all these, like, not just the main cast characters, but everyone else around them, and that's where a lot of those characters originate. Like, you know, when you saw like a group of Spartans from Halo running down a battlefield, I mean, you're going to be seeing them in a game rendered in CG, so that's like their home.
Yeah.
The CG space was perfect for all the references in those characters of the Oasis.
That's true, yeah.
To exist in.
Yeah.
And there was a lot of comic moments that I enjoyed because of those cuts.
You mean where when Ty Sheridan was wearing his outfit, he looked just like Cyclops from X-Men Apocalypse?
I think we were thinking of when he was getting felt up in the outfit.
Does he not look exactly the same
I guess
as
he
Cyclops?
could've.
He's got the
He could've,
eye
yeah.
visor and the fucking black suit on.
True.
But
Tight-
I
typecast.
enjoyed the comedic cuts too, when something happened to someone in the Oasis. You
Like-
saw what happened to them
Like
in the real life.
like getting a guile kick to your balls.
Yeah.
VR
Exactly.
Yeah, no, there was definitely some fun elements of crossing back and forth between the real world and the VR world.
Yeah, it was cool. Those scenes bridged really well when he was able to like afford a suit that allowed for more intimacy based on senses kind of adapting to it. You can like buy more expensive shit for these movies, so that you can get your knob polished or whatever if you want.
By Chuck.
This movie is freakishly possible.
Yep.
Possible. But they don't do a great job of really explaining what the world truly is like at that time of 2045.
Well, outside,
and that's the thing.
Outside
like the only
of
thing
VR
that's
world.
not realistic about this movie is we're never going to stack up a bunch of cars and turn them into houses, and we're definitely not going to live in
you'd be
Columbus,
surprised.
Ohio.
One thing from a story standpoint that I was engaged by and I kind of enjoyed was how they did make the game or make the movie feel like you're playing a video game at times, where there's different levels you have to get to and things that you have to do to succeed and get challenges.
That
to get the
was
next key.
awesome.
But the way that they solve certain challenges seemed a little weak to me. I thought there was some weak story writing going on or screenwriting in terms of how they solve some of the clues or figured out the challenges.
There's a sequence in this movie. It's the sequence, we'll call it. We're not going to give it away because it's not in any of the ads. This scene is amazing. It's so cool, and that felt like, had this film been a video game, the film they're referencing, what a wild ride that would be as a game. You almost want to think someone's going to do that now, right?
Maybe Universal Studios will.
Yeah.
What do you think? Because you play levels upon levels upon levels. Like, do you think like some of the challenges and stuff? I mean, without giving anything in the film away, do you feel like the challenges felt like real games?
No, yeah, it can be appropriate, especially depending on your like a player's individual level of skill. Because like some people can be really good at like any genre, while others may excel in a few.
Yeah.
So when you had like some of those particular challenges, there's some players will absolutely struggle in all of them, while others maybe will succeed in one,
right,
but not the others.
Like,
and then someone will come that can handle like all of it.
So, like how some of the challenges are action based and some of them are like puzzles.
Yeah. It did have some flaws, but overall, I was very entertained, start to finish, and I enjoyed it. So I will give it a pretty solid 8. And I would love to see it again just to catch any and all the references and visual spectacles that I didn't get the first time.
Yeah, totally.
Well, one of the visual references that you should catch in the movie is Ben's shirt. It shows up in the movie.
That it does. I thought this was a crowd pleaser type of return to form. Like I said, the audience was going wild. I love the themes of this movie because I do think it's possible that the keys to our future are our imaginations more so than what people seem to think it is. It's great to watch Spielberg remind us that he has the ability to make us laugh, to make us smile, to make us happy, to make us cheer. I'm not saying his last few snoozers didn't do that, but in my opinion, yeah.
Sounds like you just did.
Hint, hint.
So I would have given this movie an 8, but because it has the coolest 5 to 7 minute sequence in a film so far in 2018, I'm going to give it 8.5 goals.
Nice. I think the movie has some issues with the character development. I think some of the performances were a little hammy, as I said. So I have issues with acting and screenwriting to some degree in the movie, but there's just so much imagination on display. The references go a little overboard, but there's so many fun ones when you catch them, other ones that I would have no idea what this is. I do think on a second viewing, it's not going to hold up as strong. I think it'll be a fun Spielberg movie, but not going to be up there with some of my favorites of his, which he's got some of the best films of all time. So my score is going to be a little bit lower than you guys. I'm going to give it a 6.75.
Nice. Well, I loved your segue because you'd said it's not going to be up there with some of your favorites. So let's talk about let's go around the table. What are our favorite Spielberg films? Start with Mark.
Mine would probably be Jurassic Park out of all of them, because to me it was great. It had that fun adventure. It was always very awe. You were in awe when you watched that movie, and I think because it used so much practical effects, it still totally stands up today. Like I would easily watch this if I'm in the mood or it's on TV and I'm channel surfing. I'd totally stop and watch it.
It tricked your brain and your eyes with the animatronic and the CG. It was flawless. Even to this day, it looks
movie
flawless.
magic. That's what it should be.
Exactly what it should be. Movie magic.
I'm going with Raiders of the Lost Ark, and no, not Indiana Jones and the Raiders of the Lost Ark. It's one of my favorite films. It's the best adventure on my list of favorite films. It's the best adventure film ever made, as far as our iconic character, our iconic scenes, our set pieces. There's so many cues in this movie. This movie just embodies everything of what an action adventure globe-trotting film is supposed to be. So, Raiders of the Lost Ark.
I'd have to say my favorite of Spielberg's is Poltergeist. You weren't aware that this was a film directed by Spielberg, were you?
What would Toby Hooper say about that?
R.I.P. Toby Hooper. Sorry. No, my favorite's actually going to be Jaws. You can't beat his first foray into the blockbuster or the creation of the blockbuster. I love Jaws because the effect it has on every film goer who sees this movie. It scares everybody out of the water to this day. Still afraid.
Even when I'm in a pool.
Even in a pool, even sitting on the toilet, sometimes you're afraid of Jaws. It's just that effective Hitchcockian type of filmmaking. Starting this collaboration with John Williams and the iconic score, it really comes down to the way Jaws makes you feel. It's really a gripping story with great characters. It's my top 10 or my number 10 favorite film of all time.
So anyway, everybody, thanks for watching. That was our Gulp review for Ready Player One.
Game over, man.
As always, if you like this review, click like and or subscribe to Cinema Gulp today. John, where can they find
us out on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. Look for us under Cinema Gulp.
And for Mark,
becoming a regular here. Thanks, Mark.
Yeah, always a pleasure.
Absolutely. I'm Ben.
I'm Mark.
And I'm John.
We drink your cinema.
I drink it up! Everyone